What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 33 of the Game Room Podcast. I'm your host, Rome, alongside my co-host, Dev.
Hey, what's up?
And we have producer Jeff here with us tonight. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. Thanks for asking.
All right, we have a nice little show going tonight. We're going to be talking about some rumors with Zelda, Metroid, Capcom. More Xbox 360 games have been fixed and their matchmaking is working again. Which ones? We're going to tell you about it. And also, we have a double feature review tonight where final thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom and a review score, as well as my review of AEW Fight Forever. Let's get right into the headlines. We have 8 of them today. First up, Devroro. I know you love talking about rumors. Rumor comes from Jeff Grubb that Metroid Prime 2, a remake of that, or a remaster of that, is coming soonish. His words.
Yeah.
And that something Zelda related, which has nothing to do with Tears of the Kingdom, is happening later this year, but he doesn't know what exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think this is a really cool little thing that will really help pad out the end of the year.
They already have a lot for the end of this year, so to hear that something else Zelda's coming out this year, I don't know, that's crazy, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be the Wind Waker Twilight Princess release, like HD release. And then again, getting Metroid Prime 2 is also really good news. That tells me that we're getting closer to that Metroid Prime 4 coming. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. Jeff Grubb has a pretty good track record with, even if he gets it wrong, it's because it comes from a kernel of truth that he has. So, something to take note of. Number 2 on the headlines, Arcane Austin, the studio behind Redfall. They're gearing up for their next game, and they are going back to their roots. They are currently looking for a lead technical engineer who has experience, Devroro, with single-player action RPG games and immersive simulations.
Cool.
So I think that obviously they did the Redfall thing, and it didn't work, and we've talked to death about Redfall.
It sucks it didn't work, and they wanted to try something multiplayer, and it didn't pan out, but they're going back to what they're good at. Hopefully they like what they do next.
Yeah. Oh, the Doge is here in chat. He says, "What, another Zelda? My wallet." I know, Doge. I'm right there with you, man.
Less about my wallet, my time.
Devroro, yeah. So again, we're reviewing Tears of the Kingdom while I'm reviewing Tears of the Kingdom. Devroro hasn't yet to defeat 2 of the 4 dungeons.
Yeah.
He's still got a ways to go. I'm done though, so I'm ready to talk about. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see them kind of go back to what they know best. I'm looking forward to it. I think it makes a lot of sense. Number 3 on the headlines, we got rumors about Capcom, Devroro. According to a leaker called Dusk Golem, there's a big Capcom game being announced at the end of this year that's releasing in fall 2024, and likely we will be seeing Resident Evil 9 announced next year to release in 2025. I'm curious to see where Resident Evil goes in the future. I mean, I forget, did you get around to Village? Playing Village?
No, I haven't played any Resident
Evil. That's right, that's on our list. Well, so yeah, I'm not going to get too spoilery then. But I'm curious to see where Resident Evil goes from here. I want to play Remake 4. That's one of the games that's coming up for me to play soon. So, yeah. Looking forward to that as well. Number 4 in the headlines. Devroro, I know you wanted to talk about this. The Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal was officially extended. We were talking about it last week when we were on the air. And the deal did not close that night. This came originally, at least I saw it came originally from Lulu Cheng Meservy, who works for Activision. She said, update on Activision Blizzard's merger with Microsoft, agreement deadline extended. The recent decision in the US and approvals in 40 countries all validate that the deal is good for competition, players, and the future of gaming. Given global regulatory approvals and the company's confidence that the CMA now recognizes there are remedies available to meet their concerns in the UK, the Activision Blizzard and Microsoft board of directors have authorized the companies not to terminate the deal until after October 18th. We're confident in our next steps and that our deal will close quickly. Deborah, what are your thoughts?
I'm out.
What do you mean you're out?
Whenever they close it, I'll find out. It'll be some headline somewhere, but I'm not following it anymore. I'm out.
Well, we're going to continue to follow it because...
Oh, no, there's no we. I'm out.
No, you're not. You're literally right here. Are you getting up and walking out right now?
I'm out. I'm out.
No, you're in. You're in still. You're still in.
I'm out.
So even though the deal has been extended to October 18th, 2023, there is reportedly a lot of belief that the deal will close probably by mid-August at the latest. Some other things that Activision agreed to the deal to extend the acquisition deadline. Activision Blizzard's going to pay 99 cents per share to its shareholders. Both parties have agreed that the deal termination fee is not subject to any condition other than failure to close. So originally there was a $3 billion deal in place where Microsoft would pay Activision $3 billion if the deal doesn't go through by the deadline to waste their time. They changed that to if it doesn't close. The deal also had some other little caveats added to it that if the deal does not close by August 29th, the $3 billion fee goes up to $3.5 billion. If it doesn't close by September 15th, it goes from $3.5 to $4.5 billion. Again, the termination fee will only be paid if the deal fails to close. I think that was a move by Microsoft to assure Activision Blizzard that they are going to close the deal. They obviously want to wait for the UK and the CMA to kind of get on board because they don't want to make enemies with a government. I mean, I can understand. Your thoughts?
Nope.
You have no thoughts?
No.
None at all. Okay. Number 5 on the headline. PS5 Pro release date plans and console details have leaked via Insider Gaming. According to a new report they got from Key to Gaming, which I believe is actually linked to Insider Gaming. I saw that on Twitter where like they're going to be like a dual site, whatever. The PS5 Pro, codenamed Project Trinity, is already having demo events held to showcase the improvements. It also stated that the majority of studios will receive dev kits by late November of this year. As far as specs are concerned, those according to the report have been tough to obtain. However, two things that we do know are that the PS5 Pro will feature 18,000 MT memory, MT per second memory, and 30 WGP workgroup processor. Performance targets for the PS5 include improved frames per second, as well as FPS stability performance at 4K resolution, an 8K performance mode, and accelerated ray tracing. The last thing mentioned in the report is that the PS5 Pro is likely to be the last major hardware release from Sony for the current generation. After that, the focus is expected to shift to the development of the PlayStation 6. Devroro, where are you at in getting a current gen console?
I mean, a lot of the games that I want to play are on PC, so it's like I can just play it there. Don't have to buy a $500 console just to sit and gather dust.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be upgrading for the mid-gen cycles, especially not the PlayStation one, just because it's my exclusive box, so I'm content with the PS5 as is right now. But, new PS5 mid-gen. So my question to you, Dev, is do you think Xbox has a similar kind of like mid-gen update coming?
They said they didn't. They said that we're gonna have the two
Right.
boxes that we have. Well, I guess
But-
3 boxes until 2028.
Did you guys know that Xboxes are selling out everywhere right now?
They are. They're doing very well.
And you know why that is?
Well, there's a few reasons, but what's the reason you were going to say?
Oh yeah, actually,
segues right into your next topic here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought you were going to say. Number 6 on the headline, Devroro, they're fixing more Xbox 360 games. Do you know which ones? All right, I'll tell you. It's the Gears of War franchise. The Xbox 360 servers for Gears 1, Gears 2, and Gears 3 are working. Now, there was a little bit of caveat to this news. Apparently, the Gears 1 update happened back in June, but nobody noticed it until now when all these 360 games are working again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Gears 2 and Gears 3 are back on there. Gears 2, in my opinion, is the best Gears multiplayer. So that being playable again, I think that's incredible. Dev, like, we're seeing this with Xbox where they're really like, obviously they've been about pro backwards compatibility in the past since they were the console that really made sure that it was an industry standard at this point. But they're really going back and making sure that these 360 games are working. And I think that's really cool. What are your thoughts on that?
No, yeah, I think that is really cool. Yeah, let people play those old games again. And the only place they can, I guess.
And I think that adds, I mean, obviously Gears of War is an exclusive franchise to Xbox, but I mean, we're seeing it, as Jeff said, Xbox consoles are selling very well right now because these Call of Duty games, like, we're still seeing it. Modern Warfare 3 had a big uptick this past week with, I think, 150,000 players. These games are the top-selling games on the Microsoft storefront. They're backwards compatible. You don't need a 360. You don't even need a disc.
Yeah.
You just turn on your Series S or X and download it on the market and play it. And that's just great news for Xbox and for the gamers who just want to play these older games. I think it's great. Super happy. Number 7 on the headlines. I only have 7. I don't know why I put 8. Number 7 on the headlines. Ubisoft is deleting unused accounts. And when they do so, Devroro, they are disabling people's access to games that they've purchased. This comes from VGC. According to a user on Twitter, they received an email from Ubisoft warning them, should they not click a link in said email, which would stop account suspension, the account, including all purchased games, would be inaccessible after a certain period. In response, the Ubisoft support Twitter wrote, "We just wanted to chime in that you can avoid the account closure by logging into your account within 30 days. Since receiving the emailed picture and selecting the cancel account closer link contained in said email." When previously questioned on this issue, Ubisoft claimed that due to GDPR regulations, the company is required to close inactive accounts to comply with local data protection legislation. This is only if we have strong reasons to believe that the account in question will remain unused, reads a message on the Ubisoft website. So, Deborah, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this. So, obviously, it makes sense to kind of deactivate some accounts that haven't been used in a while. But obviously, that's a real murky thing when you're telling people that the games that they paid for and bought, if let's say they just don't activate their account for a year, those games are gone.
It would make sense if they gave them way more than 30 days. Like you said, a year, maybe 6 months. I would even say is okay. But for 30 days,
here's what if you look down here, it says Ubisoft claims that they don't close accounts that are inactive for less than 4 years. So you're only getting this if you've been inactive for 4 years, according to Ubisoft. Okay. And then you get 30 days. So after the email, then you get 30 days.
But I think even with the warning email, you should give them a little bit more time. I know they haven't been active for 4 years. I think, though, you give them a warning email, say, hey, you got 6 months to log in and click this link or we're going to terminate your...
I was thinking at least 90 days. 90 days sounds about right.
Yeah, something a little bit more than 30. But if seeing this inactive for 4 years, then I think, okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I do still think that it is kind of a rough position to put yourself in. Because, again, obviously, we talk about perception here on the show. Mm-hmm. Perception's important. And at the end of the day, Ubisoft has this policy that it's like, hey, if you don't log in after a little while, we're gonna take away the games that you paid for. And I just think that that's not a good, it's not a good stance for them to have or a good policy for them to have. Even if there's a non big issue to make out of it, I think that it's a bad place to put yourself in. I would just
another reason I love physical copies.
Exactly, I was gonna say that as well. Yeah, because if I don't play a certain console or whatever for a couple of years, I could always go back.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not playing these games after 4 years, you haven't touched your account,
I don't think
you're either you can find it somewhere cheaper or you're not going to play those games. Those are the two options.
I disagree with that. I took a 10-year break between Call of Duty Black Ops 1, playing it and playing it again.
I mean, yeah.
It's 10 years, Devroro. It's more than 4 years. I don't know if you know that, but...
Yeah, whatever. No one collects it. People play games and they're done with them.
Yeah, and then they go back and sometimes if they really like games, they go back and play them. Oh man, I remember playing this game. I love this game growing up or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So you can still do that.
More bad takes from Devroro.
Not everyone's a collector.
Not
everyone replays the game multiple times.
I'm not even saying from a collection standpoint. I'm just saying from I don't know, I liked playing RuneScape as a kid, and a couple years down the line, 7 or 8 years later, I did log back onto RuneScape for a little bit just to fuck around and see what was going on with it. It's you got see, Deborah, what you say, oh, you're a collector, so
how many years did you log on?
Exactly, but it was from middle school to 4 years ago, and before the pandemic.
Did you pick up right back where you left off, continued quests and everything? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I didn't play it for long, but just for the hell of it, I was like, "Oh man, I want to go back on my old account."
Yeah. But I'm saying some people you can still do that. You can just
see, Deborah. A caveat though that I think is worth mentioning is that you keep using you're a collector, Rome. That's your reasoning for kind of not disqualifying my point of view, but for saying well, not everyone's
why. Yeah. We just had a discussion today. You're going to go back and play an old Zelda game instead of progressing your backlog. We've had this conversation already. We were like, hey, you finished wrestling. What are you going to play next? Well, in my rotation, I have to play this. And I was like,
anyways, what I was saying is that I think that you're also, there's a caveat to you as well, because while, yes, I'm a collector who completes things, you're also someone that no matter how great a game is, you don't go back to. You've said this. Do not go back to video games.
That's not true.
Yes, you've literally said, yeah, I beat a game and I don't go back to play games again. I don't play games. You've said that.
For single player story driven games?
Yeah, but that's what I'm referring to. Like, I love Assassin's Creed 2. It's been a few years since I played Assassin's Creed 2, more than 4, but one day I'm going to go back to it because that's a masterpiece of a video game.
No, if they remake it, I'll definitely go back to it, but I'm not gonna remakes are different.
But I'm saying there are some people that will do that to single player games they love. I'm just saying, like, you're on the other end of the spectrum, the same way you kind of say, well, you're a collector. You just straight up don't replay games like that. Some people, there's a lot of people in that middle that do replay games who aren't necessarily collectors.
It's not like the games are gone from them. It's just the account they haven't logged into for 4 years is gone.
Purple says she took a couple of year breaks from her games.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, Warcraft
and Minecraft.
Like I said, multiplayer games or stuff like that, I understand going back to all the time. Like I played Smash Brothers last week. Like those games I get. It's the single player stuff that.
Oh, if WoW threatened to close my account, even after 5 years, if they threatened to close my account, I'd freak out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You should.
I'd be like, what?
That makes complete sense. You shouldn't. After 10 years, you shouldn't delete someone's wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Purple said that she got upset because her Minecraft server was disconnected after a couple of years, and her Hello Kitty house that she made was destroyed. Oh my god.
Yeah, and that sucks. But that's Minecraft.
That wasn't even the coolest thing she made. She made the shield, the Hylian shield, into a giant castle. And I mean giant castle. It was the coolest shit ever.
Oh, that's dope.
That is rough.
It's really cool. I mean, it's rough, but what she made was...
Yeah. Losing it is rough.
Yeah. Well, again, that's it for the headlines. Kind of a short week. There wasn't really a lot going on between the fact that we did a show on Tuesday as opposed to Monday, and now we're doing a Sunday show as opposed to Monday. So, bunch of rumors, but it is what it is. Let's dive into the releases for the week coming up, for the week of September, July 24th. First up, we have Mr. Run and Jump coming to the PlayStation 5, Xbox consoles, PS4, PC, and Switch. On July 25th, Remnant 2 comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on July 25th. I've heard good things about Remnant 2. I heard it's a really good game. I think IGN gave it a 9. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart gets a PC port on July 26th. Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons comes to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch on July 27th. Okay. Return to Monkey Island is getting iOS Android ports on July 27th. The Expanse, a Telltale series, coming to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, PC on July 27th. The Room VR, a Dark Matter, comes to PSVR 2 on July 27th. And Disney Illusion Island comes to Switch on July 28th. Not a whole lot going on this week. I think for me, again, from what I've heard good things about Remnant 2.
Is that the gameplay we're seeing right now on the screen?
Yes, that is Remnant 2.
Yes.
Yeah, that actually looks really good.
What was that game that came out a couple months ago that everybody thought was going to be good, but then it was only like 30 frames a second and it was really bad?
You're thinking of Forspoken.
This looks like what that game wished it was going to be.
Yeah, I could agree with that, actually. Yeah, the game looks really good, and it reviewed really well, too. This feels like one of those games that's going to be like a sleeper this year, because nobody's going to play it, because there's so many other like high-profile games coming out. But it looks cool. It looks really good. So, I mean, that's going to be my pick for the week. I would definitely say check that game out.
Yeah.
If you're not currently playing Pikmin or Zelda or anything else that came out in the first half of this year.
I've played and beat the Room VR, A Dark Matter.
Oh, okay.
That's a really fun game. It's a escape room in VR type thing.
I assumed so. It sounds like it is.
I like it a lot.
Cool. All right. Let's get into I guess it's like a dual topic of the show. We got some game reviews. First up, kind of wanted to give my final closing thoughts on Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Obviously, Devroro, you haven't finished it. I'm going to still continue to keep it spoiler-free, even though the game's been out for 2 months. The size and scale of the game is massive, so I'm not going to go too far. I just want to start by saying that overall, I disliked Breath of the Wild. I had a lot of issues. We've talked about it a lot on the show. I found my biggest issues come down to with Breath of the Wild. I found the world to be so large, but not much to do in it. It was empty. The storytelling was extremely lackluster. I did not like the way that they told their storytelling Breath of the Wild. And obviously, I don't like the weapon degradation system. I would say going into Breath of the Wild, or coming out of Breath of the Wild, those are my three biggest issues. And I do say with confidence that Tears of the Kingdom greatly improved on Breath of the Wild in almost every way, both the things I didn't like and the things that I liked. Number one, there's a lot more to do in the overworld, as you know, because you're currently playing the game. I appreciated that the world felt more lived in. I was very concerned originally when they announced Tears of the Kingdom and they were like, oh, it's like the same Hyrule. I don't know if I want to go through this Hyrule again. But I really ended up appreciating the world more this time around just because I felt more engaged. Whether it was Madison and his signs, or there was some more quests in the world. The Yiga stuff was a little bit more present. There were more merchants walking around, more shrines, more Koroks, of course. I just generally really appreciated that the world just felt a lot more lived in. Now, I do think there's still room for improvement in this regards. More settlements as well. I forgot to mention that. I would like to see them even do better in this regard in future releases if they continue to go down this route with Zelda, which it seems like they are. But I really like that. Next thing that I really liked, obviously, you're far enough in the game. This isn't a spoiler at this point. Dungeons have returned. I thought that this was absolutely a great step in the right direction for the game. I will say that in a critical sense, some of the game or some of the dungeons, specifically one of them, I really didn't like. And we've talked about the one that I didn't like off air. I thought it was probably one of the worst dungeons in Zelda history, 3D Zelda history at least. But I will kind of balance that out with one of the dungeons, one that you have not done yet, is probably one of my more favorite dungeons in Zelda history. So I'm willing to kind of give that bad one a pass with the balance of how great the other three are. I think 2 of the 4 are good dungeons, and then one was like, oh, this is really cool. But so that's a huge improvement over the Divine Beast, and I really like it. Obviously, more enemy variety was also great in this game, including bosses. Another thing I hated about Breath of the Wild that I did mention earlier was enemy variety. Doing the Divine Beasts, I hated the Divine Beast, and I hated that you had to fight basically a slightly different iteration of the same enemy 4 times bosses. And I thought that was really... So this time around, I really appreciate them for, even though 1 or 2 of them are pretty easy, I appreciate them for making legit different bosses. I think that was all. I also really love the story. I think that the story in Tears of the Kingdom is so well told, so well done. It's honestly one of my favorite stories in the Zelda series to date. I'm not going to tell you exactly where yet because we're going to do a topic about that in the future. Whenever you get around to finally finishing Tears of the Kingdom. Eventually. Yeah, 3 years from now. Yeah. So yeah, I just really loved it. Obviously you've done some of the Tears stuff. I love how for in Breath of the Wild, the memories, yes, they were connected, but it just felt so disconnected from what we were dealing with in the real time of the game that it just felt like it held no consequence. And I didn't like that. Tears of the Kingdom, I just feel like even the Tears stuff, it kind of ties in with the main story, and it just all comes together really well. The ending of this game is insane. I'm not going to tell you what it is, Dev, or anyone, because I know you haven't beaten it yet. This ending is bonkers, just completely crazy in a good way. Okay. And I really loved it. Is it my favorite ending in a Zelda game? I don't know, but it's definitely cats are bickering upstairs. It's definitely one of the craziest endings to a Zelda game. So Dev, obviously, I kind of want to bring you into this a little bit just to kind of get your thoughts on things. How are you feeling about the story so far? And
I like it. I agree that it does a better job telling its story than Breath of the Wild. I like it. I like getting the tears. I like seeing the past. I have an idea of where it's headed, but I don't really know. It's just me consuming things.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm enjoying it still.
Okay. What are your other thoughts on things I've talked about? So, like, how are you feeling about the dungeons? You've done 2 of the dungeons.
Yeah.
Which ones have you done?
I did Devroro.
Okay.
Which I liked. I liked the dungeon itself.
Yeah,
I liked the boss as well, but I think I told you this. The boss was very easy to beat.
Yeah,
I beat it in like 30 seconds. It was
I agree with that.
Incredibly easy. And I did the water temple, that's what it's called.
Right.
And I think it was the opposite for me. I did not like the dungeon part of it at all, but I thought the boss part was okay. Again, it was very easy. So
yeah.
I'm excited that the 2 dungeons I haven't done, you think you like. So
yeah,
that gives me hope,
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm enjoying it so far.
Good. So another thing. So obviously, I have my issues with the weapon degradation system. It's still in the game, and like, look, I'm willing to look at this game in a critical sense and just say like that's not for me, but that doesn't mean I need to let it affect how I feel about the game itself because that's what they're going for. I think the fuse ability really helps my enjoyment of the weapon degradation. Is the weapon degradation system still kind of annoying? Yeah, but I think the fuse system kind of balanced it out. Like I never like in Breath of the Wild, I would constantly kind of hoard my better weapons because I was worried that those weapons, like, when am I going to use them? Like, I need to wait until the right moment to use them, and then I ended up just kind of using underpowered weapons throughout most of the game. And so for them to like add this fuse ability with all these resources and materials that you could fuse onto regular weapons to kind of buff them up, I thought that was something that really kind of improved my enjoyment of the weapon degradation system, where I wasn't always so like, oh, okay, well, I really need to hold on to this good sword. So that was really nice.
I think that's one thing we disagree on, because I love the weapon degradation in Breath of the Wild, and I just love this one even more. I love the fuse ability. I do think it's just as good as, I mean, it definitely upgrades from Breath of the Wild, but I do like the weapon degradation in Breath of the Wild. It works for this kind of game.
Right. Well, so this is also kind of a good follow-up to my next point is something that I love about Tears of the Kingdom so much more than Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on its own legs is like after beating it and kind of like taking a step back and thinking about like the puzzle solving in this game, I love the abilities and I love the puzzle solving in Tears of the Kingdom. I definitely love the abilities more than I loved than the Breath of the Wild ability.
I think I agree.
Like, I don't know, just like when I was doing shrines or dungeons, like, were there ways to kind of sequence break a little bit? Yeah, and like, did I accidentally kind of sequence break one of the dungeons? I did, so I didn't go through that dungeon probably the correct way. But doing these puzzles and doing the thought process work, even like ones for like finding the Korok and getting them to their friends in the overworld, like I just loved the way I had to figure things out and how like the problem solving process, and it's fantastic game. Mm-hmm. It's masterclass level of game design.
Like, that's another thing. All they did was expand all that from Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild had not so much dungeons, but the shrines you do in Breath of the Wild is just a bunch of mini puzzles, and it was just, I don't know. You could cheat them the same way you do in this one. I think it's easier to cheat them in this game with the abilities. And the other one, you usually have to use stasis to get through it. But like, I agree with that. It's just fun. The abilities are better, I think.
The Doge watching the B-roll Jeff was playing. What the frick are these builds?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last thing I kind of wanted to touch on was we talked about like throughout our adventures, like because we were doing the weekly updates. Kind of what they were able to accomplish on a Nintendo Switch is kind of mind-blowing. So I mean, obviously I've been to the Lost Woods. If you remember in Breath of the Wild, the Lost Woods horrible in terms of frame rate. Like the game would just shut down and not like close, but it would just die. It would, like, the frame rate would just go down so bad that terrible. That's not the case in these areas. The areas that Breath of the Wild had frame rate issues, like apart from the only place that I experienced really bad frame rate was Mount Satori. That was the only place in the game where I was like, man, the frame here is dying. In Breath of the Wild, it was like any jungles or like forests, like anything like that would be bad. But the fact that they were able to do this on Nintendo Switch, it says something, and it's really quite special.
Well, I heard that it runs better because it's on the Nintendo Switch. It's not a port from.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so they said it was optimized better for the. And the only times I ever had issues was very few times when I had it docked. I would get frame issues, but there were never anything.
See, I played docked 100%. I had no issue. I mean, again, apart from Mount Satori, I didn't have that.
I had it at Mount Satori, and I had it at a few other places, like when large action things happen. But it was never anything. Almost in handheld, I almost never had any stuttering issues. But yeah, it was always quick. And didn't take me out of the game.
Yeah, and I think that the moments that Tears of the Kingdom creates are just really cool. Again, we talk about, we've had this discussion. I don't think we've had it too many times on the podcast itself. But I would say I don't like Breath of the Wild in terms of a Zelda game because it doesn't feel like a Zelda game. Tears of the Kingdom, for me, feels like a Zelda game. There are moments in it where I'm just like, fuck yeah, this is what Zelda is supposed to. And I love that. And you don't understand it, and that's fine. I don't think you will understand. But I
don't understand you a lot of the times.
Well, that's fine. And I'm not the only person that thinks this, because I would find people with similar Zelda opinions about Breath of the Wild.
I know you would try to make me watch the 1-2 hour videos, and I'm like, I'm not watching this video of this.
Oh
no, the game is fun. If you had to give it a score, what would you give it?
Giving it a 10 out of 10. I look back on my time, so we talked about this where I played that game, Tears of the Kingdom, probably about as long as I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla. By the end of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I was miserable.
I remember.
And I disliked myself as a person.
I saw it again today. I saw that person today. You
did see that person today. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But when I finished Valhalla after 2 months of playing it, I felt like I left a bit of myself behind. Tears of the Kingdom, I didn't lose any of myself.
Yeah.
I didn't lose my smile. I kept going through the whole time. Did I hit a point where I was like, you know what, I'm content? Yes, I did hit a point where I was content. I did not 100% this game. I got all the shrines, got all the light roots, got all of the gear that I wanted to get, fully upgraded that gear. I did most of the side quests in the game, and obviously defeated the final boss. I think 170 hours, something like that.
Okay.
So I was good with it. So yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I think that it just improves on that Breath of the Wild formula in every way, and I appreciate it for that. And yeah, I think right now it's in a year of packed games, and we're gonna sit down at the end of the year and kind of talk about the great games that came out this year. I mean, obviously, I think that this is, in terms of game of the year, I think it's Zelda's award to lose, if that makes sense. So it's they're the game of the year, and someone's gonna have to come and knock Zelda off to do.
Yeah.
Can Starfield or Spider-Man? I don't know, but this is just a masterclass in gaming. Highly recommend it. Maybe wait till the Switch 2 to buy the Switch 2 version.
Speaking of Spider-Man, did you see the PlayStation with the Spider-Man skin on it?
I did. It looks really cool.
Oh, yeah.
It looks really, really cool. Did you see it?
No,
it was unveiled at Comic-Con. It was really dope. But Jeff, I don't know if you want to put it on B-roll.
I'll see if I can find it here real quick.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if either of those games, I mean, the two big ones are Starfield and Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. I'd be very surprised if they can beat Tears of the Kingdom.
I mean, we'll have to see. There's a lot of great games this year. I mean, shit, I look back on Octopath Traveler 2, and I love that game so much that, when we're talking about games of the year, at the end of the year, there are games that aren't going to win that I'm going to want to talk about along with it. Octopath 2 was incredible. Just complete masterclass of that genre. You know what I mean? This is the year where, I feel like a lot of the genres, there it is right there.
Oh, that is nice.
I feel like a lot of the genres.
I like the controller too.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the Venom taking over.
Yeah.
It's a dope looking. I think I like the console more than I like the controller. I mean, the controller's really dope. All right. So, yeah, that is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, Dev, you're obviously not done the game. Do you want to give it a score? Or
no, I don't want to give it a score yet.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sure you'll update us once you finish. 2 years.
What up, Cody?
What's going on, Cody? How you doing tonight? All right. Let's get on to the part 2 of our main event. Devroro, and Jeff, I've been playing AEW Fight Forever, and I'm ready to review it, and I'm ready to talk about it. AEW Fight Forever, obviously, is AEW's first attempt at a mainline console video game. I'm just gonna get out in front of it, and I'm gonna explain it. But I want to talk about. I really, really wanted to like, but I don't. I really don't. Um, I feel like first and foremost, the game tries to kind of liken itself to older games of the past, arcade games, like the older N64 WWE games, for example. And Cody's been playing AEW Fight Forever on his Nintendo Switch. Very nice. How does the Switch version work? Does it hold up in terms of like frame rates and stuff? I'm very curious about that. Anyways, the game tries to compare itself to older arcadey wrestling games over the simulation games of today. And I can understand that, and I can give it a pass to an extent. However, I still came out of this just the gameplay is so clunky, and honestly, it's not very. It'd be one thing to keep your controls like when they said that it was going to be an older arcade like No Mercy style. I expected a simple control style. Like simple move sets, A to grapple, I'm playing on Xbox. A to grapple, X to strike, B to run, whatever.
Yeah.
That was what I expected when they said that they were going for the more older arcadey feel. However, I'm not going to give a pass in 2023 for just clunky gameplay with bad hit detection. I was sharing clips in the Discord where like weapons wouldn't land, and I'll have to show it to you after the show, but there was like a 30-second clip of these two AI bots. They both had weapons, and they were swinging at each other, and there was no hit detection at all for 30 seconds. I just stood outside the ring and watched it and recorded it. Like, there was just like the hit detection's bad, not just with weapons. The gameplay super clunky, and I also had a big issue with how poor the tutorial was. Like, and I told you this story, Dev. Like, the game gives you kind of a very brief tutorial when you first start the game, but it doesn't really lay out some basic features. And like they even have like a control configuration layout menu where you can like look at what buttons you need to press to do what. But like it doesn't like I had to like learn the hard way by just pressing buttons how to run, Irish whip, amongst other things, like dragging people around. You can do that in the game. The game doesn't tell you can do that, but you can do that. So if you want to avoid those rope breaks, 20 hours into you playing this game, you find a way where you can avoid rope breaks. That's a thing. Just in general, I just really just did not enjoy playing this game. A lot of bugs, although to be fair, a lot of those bugs have been patched. There are still some times where the game is just freaks out, doesn't know what to happen. Like my character will drop a weapon, the weapon will drop through the floor. Where's the weapon? It's gone forever. The game feels largely outdated. And Dev, I know that you probably don't super get like this in the sense, but the roster, the storylines, like it sucks that this game got delayed as many years as it did, because this feels like in terms of like the present of AEW, like it's supposed to be displayed as that, but like the Inner Circle is a storyline in this game. Like that was something that broke up 2 years ago. Like the roster just feels oddly not in place, and I know obviously they're probably going to add some of them with DLC, but just some really weird omissions in the game. Like it just feels really weird. There's only 3 tag teams officially recognized in the game. And again, it's just like there's so many tag teams in this game. Like the Hardys are in this, but they're not like an actual legit tag team. You have to make them as a tag team. And it was just really weird. Other weird omissions that were just really bizarre to me, considering this is an AEW property. So Orange Cassidy, Ruby Soho, some of the music is just really off in this. Orange Cassidy, Ruby Soho, Christian Cage, none of them have their theme music. And I understand Orange Cassidy and Ruby Soho to an extent. Obviously, there's licensing things there. Who the hell owns Christian Cage's music that they couldn't use his actual theme? Like, what is going on? What's going on with Christian Cage's theme? And this is just kind of a small example of the game where I just felt like there was a lot of things missing that just don't really make sense not to have in the game. Like, I don't know. You shelled out for some music, but you didn't shell out for others, and things are missing. Match types. Fight Forever, I think, offers a decent amount of match types, including the barbed wire death match, which is new to wrestling games.
Is that what this B-roll is?
That's what the B-roll is.
It's pretty cool.
It's a fun mode. It is a fun mode.
Looks cool as hell.
Yeah. It does look cool, and I would say like I enjoyed playing this mode. Although when the timer runs out, the match doesn't end. I thought that was kind of anticlimactic. They only give you like 2 minutes, like a minute before the explosion. So that was kind of.
What's the timer for?
So it's an exploding barbed wire death match. So when the timer runs out, the ring explodes.
Okay.
Now in in the actual real life wrestling, that explodes, that ends the match, but the match doesn't end in the game. So it's kind of weird. While it does offer that match type and a good amount of other match types, there are some real key matches that are missing. Tornado tags aren't in the game. Trios matches aren't in the game. Handicap matches, elimination matches. There's a lot of matches that like are fun to kind of just get into and dick around with. I would also say that while I'm pointing out all these multi-man matches are really not fun. Like even the regular tag matches that are in the game and the 3-ways and the 4-way matches, super just, I didn't find them. And that's just a preference thing.
Do they make them difficult, or you just don't like multiple people in a ring type of thing?
Yeah, just having them in the ring, and this is again just mostly playing with the AIs. The AI would be very stubborn in a sense that, like, how do I want to put it? The AI would kind of sometimes choose to stay laying down, and other times they would shoot right up regardless of damage. And yes, there are some abilities that could, like the kip up ability or like the roll out of the ring ability, but like it was really hard to gauge when the AI would stay down so you could go for a pinfall with someone else. Like there was kind of no rhyme or reason for it. Like you could like clothesline a guy at the beginning of the match and he'll stay down for like 5 or 6 seconds. But then later in the match, you could hit them with like a really devastating move, and you're like a few minutes into the match, and they would get right up. So it was kind of weird. Again, like a disclosure also, though, I didn't really play this with any friends. I'm sure this might be better off as a party game, but that's just my experience.
Yeah, because I did say that. Would you enjoy it more if like
I don't know.
or Jeff were playing?
No, because again, I still feel like the gameplay is really clunky, not really super crazy about it in a lot of ways. Create a Wrestler, the creation suite is in this game, and I think it's a pretty good mode. You're allowed to create wrestlers, tag teams, arenas, includes like their entrances. And I thought that a lot of the stuff in this mode was pretty good. I like the variety. But, and I know Coach Nick made a big deal about this, in an odd decision, there's no way to share your creations with other players. And again, like we can keep using it's supposed to be like an old school arcade game excuse, but it's like it's kind of 2023, and so I can't give them a pass for not utilizing technology that has been used by many different kinds of games for many years. Something that I did like was that you get to earn like in-game currency by like completing matches and doing stuff, and I thought that was a nice way to keep players engaged. You use the in-game money to buy things for the creator wrestler, like entrance stuff and arena parts to build your arenas. I thought there were some interesting kind of wacky things you could do with arenas that was kind of cool. You could put like live animals on the stage and stuff, and it was cool. But again, if you're not sharing it, if you're not able to like share your creations, like it kind of comes off as a bummer. Like I know Forrest, for example, was really into wanting to do stuff like that. I know even Jeff, you talked about wanting to like create people and share them and have like a Broken Tables podcast, e-fed or whatever you would call it. And you know, it just kind of continues to kind of come up short, much like really the rest of it. Quick little tidbit about the online mode. I didn't spend a lot of time with it, mainly because players, as to be expected, regularly quit out when things aren't going their way. Something that I think is a total buzzkill for the online multiplayer is, which obviously you can't control people rage quitting. I'm not saying that. However, when players rage quit, it does not count against the win-loss record. And I thought that was a really bad call by them. I think that if you're playing well enough that someone's going to quit out on you, you deserve to get a win.
Yeah, no, most games I think they do that. At
they
this
do,
point.
yes.
Yeah.
If you rage quit, it counts as a loss.
Yeah.
And if you get disconnected because players leave, it counts as a win.
Yeah.
So for AEW Fight Forever to not do this, like I played a few games and I like where like people quit out, and I was like, what is the point? There's no tracking of a record here. I was like, okay, very quick exit on the multiplayer. So let me hold on before I get to that. Something I did like also, there is some small attention to detail in this game that I really appreciate. Things like Orange Cassidy being able to wrestle with his hands in his pockets, MJF being a loudmouth during his matches. You can actually hear MJF being very loud while he's wrestling in the ring. There are other little things like that that you could tell that this team was a fan of the AEW product. Obviously, the game was made by Ukes, but also Kenny Omega, Evil Uno, Aubrey Edwards of AEW. That like a lot of them had input on the game. So like it's appreciated that there is. It's weird. Mm-hmm. It's really weird that like from a fundamental foundation, the game is extremely flawed. But then like there's little pieces of polish here and there that's like, oh, that's really cool. And you don't want to knock the game too much because it clearly there was effort put in. But it obviously, frustrating. Lastly, the road to the elite, which is the career mode. This is the mode that I was really excited to get into. And honestly, if the game wasn't that great to this point, this mode could save it. This was a mode that going into it, the developers and Kenny Omega and even the achievements in the game where it's like beat the career mode 10 times. Like they wanted you to play the career mode multiple. And it clearly seems that way based off the length of it. The career mode, you play through like a year of AEW by doing like 4-week blocks at each of AEW's pay-per-views. So, it only ends up being about like 16-ish matches depending on how you play. But like, so I went in and I played it 3.5 times. Keyword on half. And this mode out of the entire game for me is just the absolute biggest disappointment of them all. It's just a mess. It is just an absolute mess in every possible way. Number one, there's no cohesion in the storyline. I would win titles, and then they would never be mentioned again in the career mode. Like, one of the wrestlers I did, like I played to CM Punk my first time, and he goes and I win the tag titles with Christian Cage, and then like, okay, well, like, is that going to be a thing going forward in the career mode? No, they don't mention. He doesn't come out with the tag. Your character wins titles. They don't come out with the titles after they win them in the career mode. There's no mention of them afterwards. There's no cohesion at all in the storytelling. My run as CM Punk, I won 3 titles, and at no point did Punk ever come out with any of them. Were any of them mentioned again prior to or after me winning them? It was just like, okay, well, it doesn't matter that it happened.
That's weird.
And like that's the thing. Like I played the career mode 3.5 times, and it was the same for each. I played as Jade Cargill for another one. I won the TBS, the Women's Championship, and the AEW World Champion, and just no carryover whatsoever about any of it. In fact, there was one moment that was funny when I was playing as Jade because, so in the first block, as Jade, I wrestled on a pay-per-view, and Matt Hardy comes up and he's like, "I got hurt. Will you take my place to prove that the women can do it as well as the men?" And so like Jade wrestles another match on that pay-per-view, and then like the next week, Matt Hardy's starting beef with me on Rampage, and I'm like, "What the fuck? You handpicked Jade Cargill." And like, and it wasn't like connected. Like it was just 2 random events thrown together with no cohesion. And the whole game is like, next to no replay value in this, which is again a big deal because they wanted you to replay it. So in the 4 blocks, they said that there was multiple storylines that you could come across each block. In the 3.5 times I played, every single career mode was just about the same, minus the Jade Cargill storyline because she could compete for women's titles. But even like every single wrestler that I did, the last block was exactly the same for each of them, and it didn't even matter if I won or lost. Like there were matches like towards the end of me playing this game where I just didn't care. I just wanted to get through the career mode, so I would like intentionally disqualify myself or get counted out or like literally put the controller down and get a snack so they would just pin me. and it didn't change anything like at all. And like, which is weird because they claimed that type of thing would happen, but I just didn't get a lot. I didn't get any change based on whether I would win or lose. Like there was just no value to any of it. Between shows, you could do activities to things that affect momentum in your matches, stamina, which lets you do more activities. You could do workouts and extra matches on AEW Dark and Rampage, and doing these activities gives you points to improve your wrestling. And that sounds great, right? It's like some light RPG mechanics to improve your wrestlers. Here's the thing. Those points cannot be used unless to create a wrestler. So you do a career mode, and now mind you, they don't say like you need to do this with a creator wrestler. Like you start the career mode and it's like here's the roster of all the wrestlers. Go ahead and pick someone, and you do that and you get into it, and these points do nothing. Because then I would go into the shop and like you can even go as far as to go into the menu to the wrestler's skills. Like okay, well, so my first playthrough was CM Punk, and I was like, oh, so cool, I have these points. Let me go in here and oh, you could store multiple finishers. Let me go in there and so I can store finishers for CM Punk. That sounds great. And then I hit it, and it's like, you cannot edit wrestlers' abilities. And I was like, okay, so what's the point of the career mode outside of the matches? So, because like, you do the workout and the extra matches to get those points, to spend the points. And you do the other activities to recuperate your energy to do those extra activities. So, like, very quickly for me, the whole career mode falls apart. Like, there's no value in almost any of it. Which, just, like, if I'm wasting my time at that point, I just started just not caring about that stuff by my second playthrough. I mean, shit, by the end of my first playthrough, I didn't care. And, yeah, just 99% of the career mode ends up being pointless. Also, again, just because I was not a fan of multi-man matches, the career mode, for some reason, is just filled with tag matches and multi. And I was just like, there's no variety here. It's like, oh, here's the block where you team with Christian Cage. You do 3 tag team matches. Okay, here's another block where you're going to do 3 three-way matches in a week in a 4-week period. Oh, here's a tag match. And it's just they have so many people on the roster, and I didn't come across like half of them during my 2.5 career modes. Like I don't even know what's the deal with that either. So yeah, that's AEW Fight Forever, unfortunately. Overall, I really wanted to like AEW Fight Forever, but outside of the brand itself that is AEW, there's really not a lot to enjoy here. I think overall it's a shallow game. Very limited gameplay, not a lot of replayability, and for me it lost its novelty very quickly. Yes, I had a great time in the first few hours, beating the hell out of Cody Rhodes and stuff like that, but so we had a moment, Dev, where you came in today, and regardless, I was going to review this tonight, but I have 2 more achievements to go for the game, right? I have to get an A+ rank on a career mode run, and then I had to play the career mode 10 times. And again, I was all working on my 4th one at that point. And I'm sitting there when you walk in, and I'm just miserable. Like, because I have to do the mini games in the career mode to get the A rank.
I told you when I came in because of how much you didn't like it last week when I was here. I was surprised you were still playing it. I was like, oh, you're still on it.
Because I just wanted to get the achievements and finish it up because I was really close to the end. Kind of how I like play my games. But like you were just sitting there, and like there was a long pause of like a minute and a half. It felt like, I don't know if it was actually that long. It felt like a long pause, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like I don't even like. At this point, the achievements I have left are just a matter of me. Like it's not even difficult. It's getting through it, and I just didn't want to play anymore. I would like to hope that AEW Fight Forever can improve. I still think the Stadium Stampede mode that isn't out yet, that's coming, looks good, and I'll probably check it out when it comes out. But I think the AEW Fight Forever has issues on a fundamental level that really stop me from enjoying this game. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 10. I was kind of wrestling, no pun intended, with giving it like a 3 out of 10. But I would say that there is enough there that, like, if you really love AEW and you don't mind kind of like a more of a clunky wrestling experience, you could probably get some enjoyment out of this. And I don't know. Maybe my standards were a little high in terms of the like I would assume if you create a wrestler and you go through that career mode with create a wrestler, you probably have a much better. Unfortunately for me, that's not what I want to do. I wanted to play an AEW game to play as like the AEW wrestlers who I like. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna stick on a 4 out of 10. Can it get better with updates? It can, but as of right now.
All right, Jeff, as someone who wants to get the game still, has this review affected you at all in any way, or do you still want to get the game?
I mean, not really. I think he's a little more critical than most, considering how he plays games. So I totally understand his rating for it. Mm-hmm. I still think that, like, in my eyes, it looks like I would probably give it somewhere around a 6, maybe. But
that's a good point.
I'm still gonna probably get it, but I'm gonna wait until they drop the price a little bit. I'm gonna wait till they knock off $10 or so.
I think that's a great idea.
And I want to know, if you weren't achievement hunting, do you think you would have enjoyed the game more?
I probably would have given it like a 5.
Okay.
I mean, again, like, that's just me sinking hours into it. Like, for like I said earlier, you look at Valhalla or Tears of the Kingdom. When I was playing Tears of the Kingdom, I was able to sink 150 hours into it. The game is so good that it didn't really bother me. I just kind of hit a point where I was content with it. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, there's not a lot there. But keep in mind, AEW Fight Forever, I did not play for 150 hours.
That's true.
No. I played this for probably, I would say, like 30 to 40 range. So I don't even think I played it for like an absorbent amount of time. I just played enough of it where I saw everything the game had to offer.
Yeah. What was the name of the career mode?
It's called Road to the Elite.
So you had mentioned you really didn't like that at all, and I actually hate career modes, so I probably wouldn't even touch it. So that's probably another thing where I would probably like it a little bit more.
And I think if you're also waiting to get the game, I think by the time you get it, especially if you want it like $10 cheaper, there's going to be a lot more content. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Absolutely. And again, that's why I'm saying, like, my review stands for right now, July 23rd, 2023. Now, they've said they're going to continue to support the game. Could they add more things to it? Like, here's the thing. If the game was better in other areas, would the clunky controls bother me? Not as if the career mode felt more fulfilling, if there were more features that I expect from a modern wrestling game. I don't care if it's simulation or not. There are just features in a wrestling game that I expect. Entrances. That was another thing I didn't even put in my note. I'm a big sucker for like good entrances in wrestling video games. And the entrances are like cut off like 5 seconds in each entrance. And that like kind of broke my heart a little bit, because I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see like these full cutscene animations of like Abaddon crawling to the ring, or like Orange Cassidy kind of like slowly coming down, or a full CM Punk entrance in 2023. Like, there were just things that I really wanted out of this game that this game just did not deliver, that it probably won't deliver in the future either. But again, that's why for me it's a 4 out of 10, because there were moments where I was enjoying myself. The exploding barbed wire death match, that was really cool. It was cool that it's in the game, and I enjoyed the few of those matches that I played. Again, there was some novelty of small things. Like, I got to wrestle as Orange Cassidy with my hands in my pocket. They didn't have to do that. They could have just had it where Orange Cassidy was a generic wrestler with a moveset. He's the only character in the game that can put his hands in his pockets like that. And I think that's really cool. Yeah. Which is why it's a 4 out of 10 and not lower. Like, like there is something here to this game. You could tell that there was care put into. However, like, the best way I would put it is like baseball term. Like, it's a swing and a miss. It's like, okay, well, you were at bat, you didn't even hit the ball.
Well, it might be a while from now. I mean, I am interested in what, Jeff, you have to say about the game. I want to see like another perspective, see if this is kind of a universal thought. Mm-hmm. You did tell me that the game wasn't reviewing well when you first started playing it, so
yeah, it was kind of like Jeff says, in like the 5-6 range.
I'm seeing a lot of streamers having fun, but we'll see what they do with it in the future. Will definitely tell us a lot. So.
All right. Well, I think that's just gonna about do it for us here. Yeah. So, any closing thoughts, Zelda, or
keep at it?
Devroro, it's at a point now since I've beaten the game where like we're gonna start having a segment where it's like Devroro's report card homework, where it's like, what did you do on Zelda this week, Devroro? Did you get an A?
We'll see how it goes. I'm still playing it. I'm gonna beat the game. Just
someday.
Yeah, I'm not rushing.
You gotta hurry, man. September will be here before you know it.
I know.
Starfield, man, Starfield.
I heard about that too, but we haven't talked about Starfield. Maybe we should. Remember the one time we had a chance to? It was like a 3-hour long podcast. We haven't talked about Starfield.
Yeah, Jeff was upset.
Yeah, that was a long one.
Jeff was dying. We had Ty on.
Yeah.
It was funny because I was going to send Jeff a snippet, but like one of the other podcasts I listened to, they actually did an episode that same week and they went 6 hours.
Damn.
And I was going to send it to Jeff and be like, see, you think going 2 hours is bad sometimes.
I'll be walking away from the desk for a few of those hours.
No, I get it, Jeff. I'm out.
You're not out. You're here. You're literally sitting right
physically.
here.
I'm here. No, only when it comes to the
Microsoft.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Well, I mean, on the bright side,
3 more months. It's like the groundhog. It's like I saw the groundhog saw his shadow.
No, I was also really frustrated when that came out. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. Oh no. I think the deal's going to go through still.
I do too.
I think it will. I think it's going to close. Again, the date to keep an eye out for right now is like August 7th, August. It's all the CMA's fault. It's all those damn Brits, you know?
You should grab the game you got over there because that's...
Oh, yeah.
That's probably the next game I'm going to get.
I picked up Pikmin 4. I don't know if it showed up well on the...
Yeah, it showed up.
On the B-roll. Or not the B-roll, on the camera. That's going to... That's about all we got. So, thank you everyone hanging out with us today. Thanks to Cody. Thanks to Purple. Thanks to the Doge. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like wrestling, which I swear I do like wrestling as well. I know you may be sitting here like...
You like wrestling or video games?
This guy fucking hates wrestling and video games. What is wrong with this guy? No, but we'll be back Wednesday night and probably next Sunday for the Collision review. Jeff and I need to iron that out. It's a rough week for me work-wise. But all the same, thank you. Make sure you follow us on our social medias, except for Devroro. Do not follow Devroro. He doesn't want to be followed. He will call the police. Devroro, what are your thoughts on Elon Musk turning Twitter into X?
Again, I have no stakes in it. I'm out.
Do you think X is going to give it to us?
Yeah.
X gonna give it to you.
What a fucking idiot Elon Musk is. You want to talk about the biggest idiot? Anyways, we'll be back Wednesday night. Either Jeff will be or both of us will be for the Broken Tables podcast, where we talk about AEW Dynamite.
Can they follow the Broken Tables podcast on X?
Yes, you can.
All right.
Yeah, please do. Jeff wants to make that Twitter blue money seem like it's a good investment.
At Broken Table Show.
Jeff, did you see what Elon said that tweeting will be called?
Yeah, an X. Yeah.
Oh! Deborah, close the show. I don't want to do it anymore.
All right, he's out, guys.
Done. You want to be talking about being out? I'm out. Done.
He's out.
I'm out.
Peace.
All right, guys.